On 100 days on TVC News. Let's take a look at Section 21, subsection 3 of the CBN Act, which of course everyone is talking about. But before that, there are quite a number of ways you can abuse the Naira, and that's what we've been told recently. One is spraying. It's illegal to spray banknotes at events, which is neck deep into the culture of our people. Perhaps quite a number of people, if they're going to be honest enough, would say that they have abused this particular one. Then writing is also part of it. Writing of banknotes is prohibited by law. Stapling banknotes is prohibited. Tearing, dancing or stamping on Naira is prohibited by law. Getting oil or ink of the banknotes can be considered a form of defacing, and also selling currency banknotes. There's mutilation. Anyone caught tampering with a Naira note will face legal consequences as stated in the CBN Act, Section 21. Rejecting the Naira is strictly prohibited by law, and that's in Section 20, subsection 5. And in February last year, the CBN also identified money bouquets as a type of Naira abuse, and that also has gained a lot of prominence on social media. It's perhaps how you surprise your loved ones, and it's quite cultural, right? But attention is turned to Section 21, subsection 3 of the CBN Act of 2007 as amended, which stipulates that spraying off, dancing, or marching on the Naira or any note issued by the bank during social occasions or otherwise, howsoever, shall constitute an abuse and defacing of the Naira or such note, and shall be punishable under the law by fines or imprisonment or both. Also, Section 21, subsection 4 states that it shall also be an offense punishable under subsection 1 of this section for any person to hawk, sell, or otherwise trade in the Naira notes, coins, or any other notes issued by the bank. I'm joined by legal practitioners Fred Ziako and Abbas Ahmed on the program this evening. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Let's begin in the studio with Mr. Ziako. Good to see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Do you think it's a coincidence that EFCC is looking into the case of Naira abuse? And how relevant is this in the fight against economic and financial crimes?
Well, I think it is something that has come as a jolt from the blues. Nigerians never expected such a jump start by the EFCC in this regard, because culturally you can say that a lot of Nigerians abuse the Naira in the strict legal sense of it. And not just Nigerians, all over the world, because even in advanced countries, they spray money on people. They spray the foreign currencies on people, almost in all cultures around the world. So, but what is important is that Nigeria has said it is an offense,
that's right,
so to do. And but my own worry is that the thing seems to be a spontaneous action, because we expected that, yes, the law has been there, 2007 as amended, CBN Act, Section 21. But what is most critical at this point is, what is the level of enlightenment? What is the level of awareness? What is the level of knowledge, education by Nigerians? Yes, they say that ignorance is not an excuse under the law, but an innocent person can somehow be excused in equity when obviously the state has not done what it should do in terms of enlightenment. We can very easily find National Orientation Agency culpable in or sleeping on duty in this regard, because we expect to see a synergy between EFCC on one side, Central Bank on another side, and National Orientation Agency on the other side. First, before you begin to punish the people for this, you first have to give them enlightenment.
Interestingly,
one-off announcement is not enough.
NOA has heaped praises on the EFCC for what it's doing, so perhaps NOA has also woken up on this.
NOA is only indicting itself, because it would have been ahead of EFCC in this matter, and then enlighten the people and mount public enlightenment. That because it costs a lot to mint and to print Naira notes. In some cases, they say they are done abroad. Naira notes are printed abroad. In some cases, they say Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company does that, even as we speak. You cannot beat your chest and say you are certain about who prints the Naira note. But whoever that does that, or whether it is done domestically or outside the country, it costs a lot. And CBN will tell you that it costs a certain amount of money to print certain quantity of Naira. So it presupposes that an abuse of the Naira should not be tolerated.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And has some economic...
But most importantly, the people should be enlightened enough.
Ahmed Abbas, a legal practitioner, joins us online. Mr. Abbas, thank you for joining us. Let's talk about the position of the former chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Professor Odikalu, who mentioned that EFCC lacks the powers to prosecute Naira abuse. According to the professor of law, spraying of the Naira doesn't fall within the anti-graft agency's prosecutorial purview. Do you agree with him?
Thank you very much. This is my own take on what is presently unfolding within the the subject matter of spraying of Naira. The EFCC is actually a specialized institution that is set up, and if you extray the act setting up the EFCC, I do not think spraying of Naira falls within the purview of the EFCC. If we want to compartmentalize, because you have several law enforcement agencies and their powers are contained within the act establishing them. So my opinion is that it does not fall within the purview of EFCC. It doesn't constitute economic crimes, financial crimes. Spraying of money does not constitute financial and economic crimes, as the name of that institution actually connotes, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. That's on the one side. On the other side is that it only shows that our law enforcement institution, especially the primary law enforcement institution, the Nigerian police, is actually ineffective, because the issue of spraying of money under the CBN Act 2007 as amended, and the issue of hawking of our currencies has been a long-standing issue and offenses within the Nigerian cultural setting. If you go to the garages, especially on Fridays and Saturdays, you'll see our currencies being hawked. If you go to our parties, you'll see our currencies being hawked. These are criminal offenses. The laws are very explicit. The laws are there. They are current, but they have not been enforced. But EFCC is simply drawing attention to an ill in the society. These are long-standing issues. Culture is dynamic. I do not think, like my brother was saying there, I do not know of many other countries that actually spray money the way we do in Nigeria. Nigeria, I can say, actually is number one because of our ceremonious nature and our desire to flaunt wealth. And I think it is high time that the law enforcement institutions should clamp down on it, because there is a law against it.
All right.
Anybody found guilty should be dealt with in accordance with the law.
I hear you clearly.
To the society.
Let me bring the conversation back to the studio. No doubt parties are not going to be the same again, because you go to parties looking for new notes, and it is part of that celebration. But do you also think that EFCC, because it says it's now investigating several celebrities involved in Naira abuse, and there are many of them, beyond celebrities, many Nigerians are culpable. Do you think this is a distraction, from its primary responsibility of prosecuting economic and financial crime?
Absolutely. think and believe very strongly that EFCC is running above its mandate. I agree with Professor Dinkalo that it is not the duty, it is not the mandate of EFCC to handle this matter. As much as I don't support abuse of the Naira because of the economic and financial implications. And of course, you know that a country's currency is an integral part of its sovereignty. So if you trample on your currency, you're indirectly trampling on the integrity of your nation. So as much as I do not support such abuse, I do not also think that it is the duty of EFCC to do so. Recall that all the executive enforcement agencies have their compartmentalized responsibilities. The SSS is in charge of anything that has to do with economic sabotage. Yeah. And then EFCC has to do with economic and financial crimes. And Nigerians will sit at home and watch and say, there are huge and humongous financial crimes against the system going on all around the country, from local government to the federal government. And the EFCC has not been able to grapple with all those responsibilities. Now it is dissipating energy on people who are kind of trying to flex their cultural nuances. And that's why I say that it is enough to start with public enlightenment. It is enough to start with public advocacy, public knowledge, because so many people do not even know that sale of the Naira.
Imagine how we have normalized hawking of the Naira.
Hawking of the Naira, which you see it at every corner, at every forum.
It is even done in the very presence of law enforcement.
You know what is going to happen next? Yes. People will now go back and begin to dig out video clips of where even top government officials sprayed the Naira.
I agree with
If, for example, a minister, a serving minister, or a top government official has been shown to the public,
or even governors,
have been shown to the public that they sprayed the Naira, what are you going to do about it? In that case, EFCC will now be accused of selective justice.
Well, interestingly, we have a case in court now, unlike Bobrisky, and this guy has pleaded not guilty. We'll see how that plays out in coming days. But quickly, Mr. Ahmed, how does the enforcement of this law against Naira abuse, fit into the broader effort to maintain the integrity and stability of our financial system?
You see, for me, if I were to be sincere with you, I would say I want to align with my brother in the studio there that I think the challenge Nigeria is actually going through as a result of massive corruption. I think if the EFCC were to harness the totality of their skill, their training, they should go after those guys in the political corridors who have held this nation to ransom by virtue of their corruption. I am a stickler for enforcement of laws. But you see, spraying of Naira, yes, we want the agencies responsible to wake up from their slumber, let the National Orientation Agency wake up, go to the streets, schools, marketplaces, churches, and mosques, villages, and enlighten them that it is no longer business as usual. But EFCC should come back to the drawing board and look at its core objective, get required training, muster the political will, and go after those that are sabotaging this entity called Nigeria. The level of corruption, just of recent, you heard of pardon or no pardon of a 3 trillion budget pardon and all the rest of them. I mean, we want to hear what the EFCC is doing concerning that. The EFCC should go after those who have held this nation to juggle in the jugular and held us to ransom, who are piloting, stealing our commonwealth with impunity. People are doing all manner of things. You saw the other day, some senators came and said, well, there were some senior senators were actually giving 500 million naira, and some said, oh, they only got 250 million naira. The question you want to ask yourself is, 500 million naira for what? Part of our common patrimony that these people are stealing in civilized societies. Those men in corridors of power will be spending 120 years jail time. Not this. The swiftness of being able to prosecute somebody that is spraying money. They should also demonstrate that kind of sweetness in sending those who are stealing our commonwealth, that is allowing over 10 million children to be out of school, that is allowing ordinary malaria to kill our people, that is allowing our roads to be untarred.
Indeed.
They should go after those people, acquire whatever skill they need to acquire, solicit international collaboration, and send these people to jail so that there will be sanity, economic sanity.
All right. We're running out of time. We have to go now. Mr. Nziako, a guy is now in prison for 6 months. We haven't heard whether he intends to appeal or not. Another one just received a 10 million Naira bail. Do you think that this would jolt majority of Nigerians back to the understanding of this law, and it will correct that abnormally in our cultural display of wealth, or so to speak?
Yes, I have a very strong feeling that EFCC officials themselves know that the public have not been adequately enlightened about these issues around their...
Well, this is enlightenment enough anyways.
Yes, because...
If a celebrity can go to prison for 6 months.
Yes, what they did is that they placed the cart before the horse. All right? They placed the cart before the enlightenment should have come before the sanctions and the punishments and the punitive measures, such that even an average Nigerian will help the agencies
but it is not
arrest,
a new law in the real sense of it. And the fact that people are breaking the law
There are so many laws
it.
that are in the cooler, not known to majority of the people.
Okay.
But this is a public interest law that before you begin to sanction people, you have to enlighten them. We must admit that in a country where the average literacy rate is very low, and where so many people cannot even read and write, and even a few who can read and write are very ignorant of most of the provisions of the law. You start by sensitization before you now snowball into punishment. And the EFCC knows that that it should be the way, but they are in a hurry to possibly make a statement and started arresting people and even drawing back to many years and bringing them to court. But that presupposes that there should have been a public enlightenment. And that is why they started with celebrities, so that those who have followers, their followers will learn the lessons the hard way to their leaders. But I think that it is something that is worth doing, but the process is not right.
Gentlemen, thank you for talking to us on the program this evening. Legal practitioners Fred Nziako and Abbas Ahmed, thank you so much for coming around. So spraying, they say, is illegal. We don't have time. I wanted us to understand this. So what happens at parties now? Can you give people money? Can you give the musician money?
Of course, you use an envelope.
You have to put it in
an envelope. You put it in an envelope and deliver.
Yes, it's a more decent way of...
You use an envelope and deliver. The way government officials deliver when they want to take bribe.
I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you so much for coming, gentlemen. And thank you for talking to us. That's our show today. You can watch it again at midnight